Hey there everybody, how you doing? It's me, Waddles, welcome back. The Nether, it's an entire spicy dimension with its own biomes, creatures, structures, and of course, loot. Loot. Speaking of loot, there's a lot of cool loot that can be found in the Nether. Wouldn't it be great if you knew what that loot was? Yes, the answer is yes. If you say anything else, please don't say anything else. Today, we'll be diving into every single Nether loot table and checking it out. By the end of today's video, you'll know everything that you can possibly find in the Nether as of Minecraft Java Edition 1.16.2. That's right, sorry Bedrock players, this video is for Java, but if this video passes like maybe 10,000 likes, I'll make a Bedrock Edition version. So definitely leave a like if you want to see that. If you don't want to see that, still leave a like, subscribe, and let's go. When we're talking Nether loot tables, we actually don't have all that many. Of course, we have the Bastion, the Ruined Portal, and the Nether Fortress. That's it. 3 structures, more than 3 loot tables, but we'll talk about that later. Once again, just to be clear, these are the Java Edition 1.16.2 loot tables. If there's a different update, these tables could be changed. If you're playing on Bedrock Edition, these tables may be different. Let's start with the Nether Fortress. The Nether Fortress is definitely the oldest Nether structure. This thing has been in the game forever. This right here is the loot table. The loot table is actually not that big for a Nether Fortress. Now, I have a little bit of an organization system going on. If you've seen some of my other breakdown videos, you know the organization system, you know the stable system. Over here, we have 1 gold ingot. Over there, we had 3 gold ingots. That means inside of a Nether Fortress loot chest, you can find anywhere from 1 gold ingot all the way up to 3 gold ingots if you're super lucky. Now, taking a look at this loot table, we have things ordered from most common to least common. So, gold ingot, most common, then we go down over here, then we jump over there, and then go down. Obsidian is actually the rarest thing inside of the Nether Fortress loot table. Kind of surprising. Diamonds are probably the best thing that you could find inside of a Nether Fortress from a loot chest. Unless, of course, you're starting in the Nether. If you're doing something like that, the iron is actually pretty good too. Now, pretty much everybody knows where the loot chests are located inside of Nether Fortresses. If you're looking for Nether Fortress loot, you're going to want to start by going inside of the Nether Fortress. The loot chests will always be located in interior hallways that are full hallways, like full hallways of Nether brick. So these hallways right here, they're not exactly going to cut it. But something like this hallway right here, bingo, this is exactly what you're looking for. The loot chests are usually placed at corners in these hallways. And hey, look at that, we actually got pretty lucky. And so, that's the Nether Fortress loot table. Next, let's slide way more into the future, all the way up to Minecraft 1.16. The next 2 structures in their loot tables that we'll be breaking down were both added in Minecraft 1.16, aka brand new structures. The first structure that we'll be taking a look at is the Ruined Portal. Now, the Ruined Portal is an interesting structure. It is the only structure that will generate in both the overworld and in the Nether. The loot table is going to be exactly the same for the overworld as it is for the Nether. So this loot table that we're checking out, it applies to both dimensions. So Ruined Portals, where can you find them? Well, you can find them pretty much anywhere except the end. They'll generate randomly in the overworld and in the Nether. There's a good handful of different Ruined Portal types. One thing that every Ruined Portal has in common though, the loot chest. Every single Ruined Portal should have a loot chest right next to it. The Ruined Portal loot has a little bit of a bigger pool. This pool can be split into 4 different categories based upon the chance that you're going to have to find these things inside of the chest. We'll start with the most common items. You'll have about a 46% chance to find these items right here. Same table system this time and for the rest of the video. You can find anywhere from 9 iron nuggets to 18 iron nuggets. This loot really isn't the best. Let's move things up a little bit and get a little bit more rare. This time you'll have about a 20.5% chance to find this stuff. This stuff does get a little bit more interesting. All of this is gold enchanted stuff. Now, what enchantments? Well, you could have any enchantment on the stuff that you normally could have, so like sharpness on a sword, protection on a gold chestplate, and it can have any level. The only enchantment that you will not find is soul speed. None of that new stuff. But any other enchantment and curse is game. This stuff, more specifically the gold armor, isn't particularly useful at all unless you're in the Nether. If you're in the Nether, the gold armor might be a lifesaver. But getting even more rare with a 7.3% chance, we have these items right here. These items are cool. You even have the appearance of a fancy gold pressure plate right here. Overall, probably the best thing here though, the gold horse armor. It's pretty cool. Unless you already have diamond horse armor, then it's pretty much useless. Finally, the rare stuff that you could find in a ruined portal chest is these things right here. Definitely, by far, the best thing is this enchanted golden apple. The bell is cool too, and the gold blocks are nice. One more thing that I would like to mention about ruined portals, they can generate with crying obsidian on them and gold blocks as well. So maybe you'll want to consider taking those things too, because they're both pretty good. But that is the loot table for every single type of ruined portal, Nether and Overworld. Finally, the Bastion. The Bastion is an interesting one. The Bastion has not one loot table, but actually 4 separate loot tables. Now, if you didn't know, there are actually 4 different types of Bastion remnants. In today's video, we'll be checking out 3 of those types because each one of those types has a distinct loot table. I'll make it pretty clear which loot table belongs to which structure as we take a look at them. If you're looking for a bastion, you can look pretty much anywhere because these structures will generate in every single nether biome except the basalt deltas biome. But if you have a bastion that generates along the edge of a basalt deltas biome, like let's say in a crimson forest biome, it could stretch into the basalt deltas. Basically, you can look almost anywhere for a bastion. They're very hard to miss. They're gigantic. The first group of bastion loot is known as generic loot. Now, this generic loot isn't bad, it's just loot that can be found in any type of bastion. The loot table is split into 3 separate pools. The first pool is this one right here. This pool is good, but honestly, it's not the best. Probably the coolest thing that you could find here, maybe gilded blackstone if you like that stuff for decorating, or chains. Chains are definitely big brain here. The second pool is this stuff right here, getting a little bit better. Crying obsidian is pretty cool. Now the iron sword, there's a couple things to note about it. It can have any enchantment that a sword could usually have, and its durability will be somewhere in between 10% and 90% of its maximum durability, so it'll be a little bit used. The golden axe can have any axe enchantment that an axe can normally have, and the boots. These boots will have any level of soul speed, specifically soul speed 1, 2, or 3. Those are actually pretty cool. But you know what's even more cool? The third pool of this loot table. This pool is where things get interesting. As you can see here, there's a lot of really good stuff here. Ancient debris, I mean, that stuff's crazy rare. That's great. This book, any level of soul speed. So it could be soul speed 1, 2, or 3. This snout banner pattern right there. That's pretty cool too. This enchanted damaged crossbow will have any random crossbow enchantment and somewhere in between 10 and 90% of its durability. Same goes for the pickaxe enchantment, any random enchantment. Finally, the last 2 things that I'd like to note about this loot table, netherite scrap, pretty good, and pig step as well. The third pool of this generic loot table is definitely the best pool by far. Alright, now let's get a little bit more specific. This next loot table that we'll be taking a look at is for the Hoglin Stables Bastion. I believe, and I'm like 95% sure on this one, that this bastion right here is a Hoglin stable. If it's not a Hoglin stable, then this isn't what the Hoglin stables look like. But if it is, this is what you're looking for. And the Hoglin Stables Bastion should have this ruin section in here, and it should generate with Hoglins. Admittedly, the Hoglin Stables and the Piglin Housing Bastions both look very, very similar, but I'm pretty sure this is a Hoglin stable. Either way, the Hoglin Stable Bastion loot table is split into 2 pools this time. The first pool is this one over here. This pool consists of mostly generic things other than the crying obsidian. Crying obsidian is really cool, and remember, you can't craft the stuff, so any of the stuff that you can find is good. The other part of this first pool is right over here. Axe enchantment, any axe enchantment, you already know. The second pool gets a little bit smaller, but it also gets a whole lot better. The second pool has some diamond stuff in it. The diamond stuff is super cool. Now the diamond shovel, it'll be damaged. Its durability will be anywhere from 50 to 80% of its maximum durability, but it will have a random shovel enchantment. Maybe even something like Silk Touch if you're really lucky, like I was in Nether Survival. The diamond pickaxe is going to have any random pickaxe enchantment, and its durability will be somewhere in between 15 to 95% of its maximum durability. Finally, more ancient debris. This time, if you find ancient debris, you will find at least 2 pieces of ancient debris if the loot is being pulled from this pool. That is actually really good. The next bastion type that has its own distinct loot table is very recognizable. This is the bridge type bastion. There is no mistaking this thing at all. Now, this bridge bastion, it's a little bit buried, so it's kind of hard to tell, but the bridge bastion is the bastion that looks like a gigantic piglin that's of course ruined, and has a long bridge with a gold piece on the end of it coming out of its mouth. The bastion bridge loot table is split into 3 pools this time. First, let's take a look at this pool right here. This is definitely the lamest pool by far. It's all generic stuff, none of it is really that good. This pool though, oh boy, it gets a whole lot better. In this pool, there's lots of gold. This gold stuff will have random enchantments at any level that it could usually have, other than the gold sword. The gold sword will be unenchanted. Now the crossbow, it can have any random crossbow enchantment and it will be heavily damaged. The durability will be somewhere in between 10 to 50% of its maximum durability. Very, very used. Finally, the last thing that I'd like to make a comment on, crying obsidian. There's actually a lot of crying obsidian in this loot table right here. Not bad at all. And the final pool of the Bastion Bridge loot table has one thing and one thing only. That thing is a lodestone. Now the lodestone actually has a 100% chance to generate, so I believe that means in 1.16.2, if you're looting the Bastion Bridge chest, then you should always find a lodestone. There's one easy way to find out, and that is, of course, fact check it. Check out the chest inside of this Bastion Bridge, and boom. That is correct. There's a lodestone right here, so I believe that's how it works. There should be one lodestone per Bastion Bridge. But that is the Bastion Bridge. One more look at this thing from the back, which is a little bit more exposed, and you can definitely see the piglin shape. And hey, look at that. There's a ruined portal down there too. That's pretty good. The third Bastion type with its own unique loot table is very, very recognizable. This is the Treasure Bastion. The Treasure Bastion is probably the best Bastion, and honestly, it's not even close. This is like the best by far. Not only will the Treasure Bastions have magma cube spawners, but they'll also usually have lots of gold blocks as well. And oh boy, wait until you see the loot table because it is good. Now the Treasure Bastion is the bastion that is a gigantic square with a bridge area with a tall, thin area as well. It'll look just like this. So the Treasure Bastion loot table is split into two separate pools. Pool number one, this pool right here. This pool isn't the best pool, but it's also not the worst pool at all. I mean, 5 iron blocks, 5 gold blocks, that is really, really good. Not the most crying obsidian that we've seen today, but still a decent amount of crying obsidian. But wait, it gets better. Look at this pool. Oh my gosh, this is a good loot pool. A netherite ingot, we haven't seen that quite yet. That's big. 2 ancient debris, we've seen that before, but that's really, really good. And all of this diamond stuff. Now, we have to talk about this a little bit. The diamond sword, it'll be in pretty good condition. Its durability will be somewhere in between 80 to 100% of its maximum durability. It'll have a random enchantment that a diamond sword can have. Or you'll just find a plain old diamond sword and no enchantment. And I mean, hey, that's not bad. A free diamond sword, I'm not complaining. Next up, the diamond armor. If you find enchanted diamond armor, it'll have a random enchantment that the armor can usually have, and somewhere in between 80 to 100% durability, so in really good condition. Or you'll find unenchanted diamond armor that is in perfect condition. Again, not complaining, that is great. Now over here, an enchanted golden apple, that's crazy, and then the chance to find somewhere in between 2 to 6 diamonds as well, that is crazy. Now remember that these are loot tables, so this isn't the loot that you will be finding every time. This is basically all of the possible loot that you could find from a bastion. So, based off of the loot tables, in my opinion, and probably in your opinion as well, the Treasure Bastion definitely holds the best loot. But if you're looking for something like Crimson Nylium, then I guess the Hoglin Stables Bastion is your bastion. I guess. And so, those are all of the different Bastion loot tables, but it's kind of hard to remember everything when it's all spread out like that. So, right here, inside of this chest is everything that you could possibly find inside of a Bastion. Now, the amounts, they're not exactly on point, and the enchantments, they're not always there. Remember, like we just talked about, you could find enchanted diamond armor. This is really just laying everything out that you could find in a chest so you can take a look at it nice and easily. This is as of Minecraft 1.16.2. Now, this stuff is separated over here because this is all exclusive stuff. If you want to find the pig step disc, this is the only place you're going to get it. If you want to find the soul speed enchantment, you're going to either have to barter with the piglins or find it inside of a bastion. The piglin snout banner pattern, head to a bastion and start looting. Hopefully you're lucky. Overall, the Bastion loot table is by far the biggest loot table in the Nether and the best loot table in the Nether. But, I mean, that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of challenge when it comes to raiding a Bastion, especially now the piglin brutes exist. And so, with the many large Bastion loot tables, that is every single Nether loot table as of Java 1.16.2. 2 things to remember. These are the loot tables as of 1.16.2. Once 1.17 releases, these loot tables could be different. So if you're watching this way in the future, just keep that in mind. The second thing, these are loot tables. A loot table, again, consists of all of the loot that you could possibly find. You absolutely won't find each and every one of the things that I showed off in each loot table in every single chest. Minecraft randomizes things, that's just how it's done. Hopefully, if you have good luck, you'll find something really, really cool. And that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, do me a big favor, drop a like and subscribe. Remember to hit that notification bell. Would you like to see more loot tables broken down? If that is the case, let me know what you'd like to see down in the comments below. And again, remember, like button. Today, I'd like to send a big thank you to my patrons, Cypher1158, JRig42, and NerdPants McGee. Thank you all so much for the support. And until next time, stay cool, gamers. Goodbye.